Hello and welcome to another episode of DIY EV Chat. My name's Tom Cheesewright. My guest today is Danny Floyde, who's got something completely different. We've not done one of these before. We've done an electric Beetle, an electric Sirocco. We've talked about an electric Lotus. We've done electric taxis, and now for the first time, an electric 4x4. Welcome, Danny.
Hello, great to be here. Thank you.
So listen, I've been watching your videos, and you
Oh
know
God.
the first thing that stood out was you seem to have some skills that perhaps I don't have. and so I'm going to start with my usual first question, which is like, what's the day job, or where did you get the skills to do this?
So by trade, I'm an apprentice engineer, mechanical. I started life in it's a quarry that I work in, so I've learnt all machining, welding, fitting, pretty much everything. All the electric stuff is all self-taught, but I have now got my qualification, my level three qualification in that. But my current day job is I work in a control room at that same quarry, just because I felt like it was a good step up for me from there. But by trade, I'm a mechanical engineer.
But okay, so you got the practical skills, which I have to say really shows, because I'm watching your videos going, your build's so much nicer than mine.
It looks
It's
great
very
from about
tidy.
10 foot.
Not so much when you get up close.
Well, I'm very much a overbuild it and that'll do kind of guy. And when it comes to actually finishing the work, is I'm a hammerite kind of guy, because I know that I'll come across later or I'll want to change something in 6 months' time. And then if I've sprayed it up really nice, I'll then it'll just be a mess. So everything's hammerited and nothing's quite polished as what a lot of people I see on YouTube are, just because I know I'll end up changing stuff. So
But you've got
yeah.
that very nice Perspex battery box on the Tesla cells. But we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. And so, was this your first project like this, or have you done
it
other sort of
it
makey
it
stuff before?
well, first thing of this sort of scale, I've obviously I've been tinkering with lots of stuff, and obviously through work I've been involved with much bigger projects than this. But my own money on the line, yes, this was my first project. And when I started, there wasn't that much information out there, so it's kind of all cobbled together from little bits I've picked up here and there.
So when did you
No,
start?
this
When did you start this project?
oh, at the end of January, I'll have owned the Jimny for 4 years, which is the longest I've
Okay.
ever owned a car. And it was on the road for about 6 or 7 months as a petrol vehicle. And I had a few vehicles before that. I had a 1973 Beetle that I thought this is going to be great to convert, because they're super simple, super easy. And I got
Mm.
in it and drove it. And at that time, I was doing about 100 miles round trip for work. Yeah, so that was one of my reasons why I could justify spending quite a lot of money to convert a car, because I thought I want a car that I enjoy. I've always done big miles, so where my friends have been rolling around in like fancy Audis and stuff, I could never afford to drive them. I've always been having to drive all the sensible diesels and stuff, and just cars like that. And I've never had the that cool car that I've always wanted. So I thought, well, actually, this is my way that I can have that cool car that I've always wanted, yet still do big miles. So anyway, I got the Beetle, tried to drive it to work. I thought I'll drive it to work and back for 2 weeks, and if I can do that, then I'll love it. And on about day three, I were ready for giving up. It's a lovely car for a Sunday drive, but I'm telling you now, a 40, 50-year-old car is not great for the work commute after you've had a long day at work. So that
No,
went,
I mean, I
and
think you'd have to do the full independent front suspension version, and that's a few
it had
grand.
the independent front suspension. It
Oh,
was
had
the
it?
Super Beetle. Yeah, it was a Super Beetle. It got the disc brakes and McPherson strut suspension, and still it was just
Still,
no. So I ended
crikey.
up selling that a couple of cars later. I thought, you know what, I'm going to buy what I've always wanted, and could never really justify as my main car, just because of the nature of being tippy and rubbish on motorways and stuff. And I'm just going to buy a Jimny because I love them. And anyway, the rest is history. I fell in love with it, and the smiles per miles on it is just fantastic. So I decided to convert my Jimny, and then one day on a July, I think it was afternoon, me and my two brothers took the body off my Jimny outside without a garage, um, and just the rest is history. Yeah, it's just that's where it started.
So you chose the Jimny. Were you already into off-roading? Were you doing some sort of four by
Um,
four
I've always
stuff?
loved I've always loved 4x4s. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to differentials and 4x4s, and yeah, I've always loved stuff like that. So I just, again, with the miles that I was doing, I could never justify a four-wheel drive vehicle. So to get one as a second car, again, like I say, when I bought the Jimny, it wasn't my intention to convert it because I thought, you know what, I don't like these old cars that are common to convert. So I'll just buy something I like and keep my boring diesel as the daily driver and just enjoy this one. And like I say, Beast from the East came, and yeah, that helped, I think, with the honeymoon rose tinted glasses. But yeah, I love it. I love that vehicle. Um,
And so, I mean, so you had this idea of doing a conversion before you got the Jimny. Where did you come
yeah,
across that idea in the first place? Like, what set you on the track of, oh, actually, you can convert a car?
I'm not sure really. I did want to do a motorbike first, just because again I didn't have a garage at the time, so I just thought a motorbike's dead easy. I can put a big shed somewhere and fit all parts in that and everything. But
Mm.
I tried a motorbike and I didn't like riding it. I like the look of motorbikes, I like the idea of motorbikes, but if you ever try riding a motorbike, you're either too hot or you're too cold. You're never the right temperature in one. So um,
I'm just frozen with
I
fear when I ride a motorbike. It's not the temperature;
well,
it's just
yeah.
abject fear.
So and well, 100 mile ride each day as well on one doesn't help either. So on a little 125, it was like, no, this isn't working. So I can't remember actually what my first insight to electric vehicles was. I just remember being hooked on it, and I've always liked electric cars. I know that I've always liked them ever since the Tesla Roadster came out. Really, I've been
Mm.
interested in them, but it would never. I can't remember a clear cut moment as like I'm going to convert one car. I just remember I wouldn't mind converting one, and then I ended up buying a motorbike, and then a Beetle, and then a truck, and then I ended up with the Jimny, and I'm like, right, I'm just buying this because I like the vehicle, and then I was driving it, and I'm like, this would be mint as electric. So yeah, the rest is history. I think the biggest, I mean, I know taking the body off, and that was sort of a no turning back kind of point, but I think the biggest not turning back kind of point for me was spending £4,500 on a motor that that was the real, oh, this is serious now. Because I mean, I know obviously taking the body off and taking the petrol tank out and selling the engine and doing a load of work and building battery boxes, I don't know why it just didn't sink into me at that point that this is serious, this is what you're doing. But for some reason when I was like, right, go, on yeah, that's when it got real, I think.
And what led you down that route? What led you down the? Because it's what is it? Is it a Hyper 9 you've got?
No, it's an AC34 HPEV. It's about as
That's right.
small
Yeah, yeah,
motor as you can get. And I would never advise, if anyone's watching this and you're thinking, what motor shall I use? Always go for the biggest one you possibly can, because I have underpowered that vehicle, and theoretically it should have about 48 horsepower. But from looking at what my ammeter's putting out on the dial, it's only putting out about 400 when it should put 550 out on max. And I've been through every setting countless number of times, and I can't work out why. So on a good day, it's probably got about 40 horsepower. On a bad day, it's down to about 15 when you're at bottom at pack, because it just doesn't want to pull much amps. The current seems to be limited. And again, I've been through every setting, and it's a real shame because I've got such a big battery in it. I've got 48
yeah.
kilowatt hours, 9 Tesla modules, and it just seems that for the last, say, half to third of the pack, I can't really use it. It's almost unusable. I drove it down to 0% the other day, actually. I just kept putting off plugging it in, and I'm struggling to do 30 mile an hour. So it's like you're trying to find, which way shall I go home, which way shall I go here, and you're like, right, this is a 30 road, I'll go this way. And it's embarrassing when you're going up any sort of hill and you're only doing 25 miles an
Wow.
hour, and everyone else is doing 30. So I know I've made a lot of mistakes in doing this, and I am going to be putting a video out soon of the mistakes I've made, just to help people when they're looking at it. But I suppose this is the first time I'm telling people that I've made a lot of mistakes on this car. So,
I
yeah.
mean, let's be honest, haven't we all? I mean, it's I think it's still it's a learning process now. I mean, I've done mine over the last 18 months or so, probably a bit
Mm,
more than that now. Yeah, but you were starting 3.5 years ago, and
yeah,
the amount of knowledge in this community sort of changes exponentially. It's
yeah.
an like there's so much more information now than there was when I started started researching this at 18 months, 19 months ago.
It's funny you
It
should
feels
say
like it's
that,
changed
actually,
radically.
because I started a Facebook group, and I'm sure you probably heard of it or in it. It's DIY Electric Vehicles UK. Because and I think we've got about 10,500 members in it now. Simply because when I started, there was just nothing. It didn't seem to be anybody local. Everything was in America, 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 America. And you try and buy anything. I mean, my motor, I paid like £700 import tax on it. and £600 shipping. It was ridiculous. So for the price of it, realistically looking back, I should have gone for a Tesla unit the first time I did it because it wouldn't have been any more money.
Mm.
Um, and that would have been the answer to all my problems because then I'd have 250 horsepower. But it's easy hindsight kind of thing. And like I say, the amount of information that is now out there, I mean, I think before America was leading the world in conversions because they had EV West, which I won't comment on. But the now with zero EV, classic electric cars, and the whole host of other people that we've got in the UK, I'd say that we're probably leading the world in conversions at the moment.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, certainly Europe. If you add into Damien and Johannes and yeah, that whole sort of open source community. Obviously, a lot
Yeah,
of members of that are in the US as well, but yeah, a lot of European now, a lot of people in Holland, Ireland, UK, like you say, it's a big community now, and getting a lot more profile as well. I've been like kind of shocked at how much interest it's garnered. I never set out to do this as a very public project, but then sort of cottoned onto the fact that people kept asking about it. I'm like, well, okay, well, if you're going to keep asking, I might as well put some content out about it. It's like get people
yeah.
hoover it up.
That's one of the
Um,
reasons I started doing the videos, to be honest. And I know they're really embarrassing and really cringy, and I don't like it. But people always kept asking me, and I know my media teacher from senior school will be rolling around and laughing at me right now. But I'm always busy, and it was a case of I could either spend a lot of time doing the project or I could spend a lot of time filming it. And for I mean, it's took me what 3 years to do the project itself, so I was always focusing on just doing the project. I mean, I took a lot of photos on the way just in case I needed to put something back or just that's a cool photo, I'll
mm,
take it. And it's where a lot of my original videos started. They're just sort of like me talking over photos because I look back on it after a year of doing work on it and people are just asking, what are you doing? What's this? What's that? What's this? And then it's like, you know what? I'll just put a video up and then explain it. And then it's everyone sort of knows. And I'm surprised it's actually gained as much as it has. I mean, I've got like 5,000 views on some videos. To say how basic it is, it's like, I'm cringing that knowing that 5,000 people have watched that crap video that I made. It's yeah,
but
it's
you know,
like really.
there's a lot of curiosity out there. So satisfy some
Mm.
of that curiosity. People haven't seen those videos yet. You went for we talked about the motor. What did you do for controller?
So the controller's the HPV. So
Right, that's
it
HPV
comes as
as well.
a pair. Yeah.
Okay. And charger.
It's an Elcon unit. I actually bought it direct from a Chinese supplier, so they didn't have any of the instruction manuals that the Elcon 6.6 normally has, but it was
Wow.
half the price. So I was like, I'll take a gamble on this, and see what happens. I mean, the worst case is that it doesn't work, and for a long time I thought it didn't. Um, so if you have got an Elcon charger, make sure you put a resistor between your CAN bus wires, your TX and your RX. I
Oh,
didn't have the
okay, yeah.
resistor between it, and that was the only problem. But because there was no instruction manual out there, it was only until I spoke to people that after about 6 months of me thinking this didn't work and thinking that I'd wasted 600, 700, 800 quid, that I realised, oh, I'm supposed to put a resistor in it, and I put a resistor in it, woo, fired into life, and I'm like, I've been scratching my brain with this for so long, and it's just because
Canvas
there's
is a
such.
nightmare.
I hate canvas. And yeah, like I say, I have 2005 Jimny. It's full of it. So yeah, and like I say, I'm a quarry engineer. It's not something that I'm. Yeah,
I'm wrestling with it at the moment. My inverter is refusing to speak CAN bus. Everything
well,
else in the car speaks CAN bus
yeah.
fine, but not the inverter.
Well, a lot of my systems aren't directly talking to each other. So my BMS doesn't talk to my motor. It just talks to my charger. My
Right.
contactors
What
are
BMS is it?
independent. It's a simp BMS. Someone called
Okay, yeah.
Tom. Yeah, he put them all together, and I'm like, you know what? I might take a chance on this. It works fine, absolutely lovely. If I was doing it again, I'd use an Orion.
Really?
Yeah.
For
I
what would drive you down that route?
they're just so much more versatile. They're so much more polished, and that's simply because they've got a whole team behind them. Tom, it's
Sure.
phenomenal what he's accomplished. Absolutely phenomenal, and he's such a clever guy. But he's one guy, and the fit and finish and polish. And after you spent tens and tens and tens and thousands of pounds on something, and then basically you've just got this like little screen. And I wish I'd have spent another bit more money and just gone for the Orion unit simply because then if I am upgrading in future to different certain stuff, And not only that, but safety, and there's a lot of other things that I would
Mm,
prefer this to the BMS to control. And it just, because Tom obviously is one person, he can't then build something for every single motor and controller.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it
Yes, I was going
works.
to say,
It's reliable. For the last 5,000 miles, it's been flawless. Apart from, I've got a bit of crosstalk in it at the minute, so it does occasionally go into error. When I turn my main beam on, my dip beam on, there's some crosstalk because I've got it so far up in the car. I get a bit of crosstalk through it, but I think that's
gotcha.
just my own installation faults rather than a fault of the product from Tom. But
Yeah, no, I mean,
um,
I'm running a slightly modified version of Tom's code on
mm,
well, I was going to say homebrew, not homebrew, but a board put together by some other members of the community.
yeah,
Jamie, who's been on already, and Robert will be on when he's done his car. Hello, Robert. Keep moving. So you started outside. So you lifted the body off and got outside.
yep.
Where
I
did the
had
rest
a
of the project
wooden
happen?
I had a wooden goalpost. So I don't know if you've seen like sort of like basically a goalpost. I made it out of stud work, and I did like some piece on the floor, and then I got some pull lifts, and then I anchored them to the seatbelt bolts because I figured that was the strongest part on the body. That then lifted up the body part, and then me and my brother then lifted the front end because it was front end heavy. As my second brother, he pulled out the chassis from underneath. It were a big long day, I'll tell you. Making sure not only because I've never done it before. It was such a clean car. It had one owner, full Suzuki service history, 50 odd
Wow.
thousand miles on the clock. It was flawless, this car, and then I'm there butchering it. So I was trying my best to not damage anything and then label everything as I'm taking it off. And so yeah, but that I started outside. After about 6 months of doing it outside, I got friendly with one of my neighbours, and then I rented a garage off them, and
Ah,
then moved the project. So that's where all the photos that you can see on my videos, they're all taken from a really cramped garage, and it's because it's just big enough for a car. Luckily, the Jimny, when you take the body off, it seems a lot smaller because obviously you can then you can walk over the chassis and stuff. So that helped a lot. The body remained
yeah.
outside underneath a big car cover, and I built a wooden platform to raise the body off the ground about a meter or so, maybe not a meter, but it was off the ground a fair old way. I could sit up comfortably underneath it, just so I could.
Wow.
Jimneys are renowned for rusting, so what I did is I wire wheeled everything. The chassis went away for shot blasting. I got underneath the body and wire wheeled everything, cut out anything that you were even starting to bubble because of the amount of time and work I'm putting into it. I want everything
Mm.
to be brand new. But yeah, so I started in a rented garage, and then I moved house, so that's why the project took a long pause for a number of years. And then when I moved into this new house, I thought, oh, fantastic, I've got my own space, I can do everything, but I've had to start renovating the house from the ground up. So it was just lucky that one of my friends who I'm involved in with Electric Off Road, and I do some work through at EDub, they had a space there basically that I could borrow. And for about 3 weeks, I spent working on the Jimny, and that's where most of the recent updates come from. And yeah, it was just great, the opportunities that I had, and basically just inside, because that's my worst enemy is weather. You look outside and it's cold or it's raining, and it's like I don't really want to get halfway through and then Evans open and I've got to pack all my tools away, or you can't just pause when you need 10 minutes to just go and have a break. And that's the biggest enemy, I think, is just somewhere to do
Yeah.
it. And looking back now, I can't believe the amount of enthusiasm that I had to start it outside without a garage. It must have been crazy. So,
You
I
and me
mean,
both.
now, yeah, I don't even want to walk to the garage now when it's raining, let alone start working outside and doing a full Jimny conversion. Just what was that guy thinking?
Well, I got the keys today to a garage. I've done everything outside so far, and I got the keys to a garage today. So it's a very
Yeah, it's
exciting day.
best feeling ever. It's amazing when you finally get somewhere to work inside. It's like, this is fantastic. How have I managed? Yeah. You look back and you're like, what were I doing? Yeah.
So what once you got the project, you one of the things that's come up a lot recently is insurance because I mean partly because of where I live, my insurance is obscene. I don't know about you, but was getting insured all right?
Adrian Flux didn't bat an eyelid. I think one of the reasons that made it so easy to insure, it's actually the same price as what it was before it was insured.
Really?
My insurance has always been mega expensive, especially because it's my second vehicle. I can't use most of my no claims on it. But for some reason, my insurance has always been mental. I've flawless driving, touch wood. No accident, no like anything. It's impeccable. My record to say it. I don't know why, but yeah. So, but my insurance has always been mentally expensive. But Adrian Flux, yeah, it was a very similar price, insured as before and after conversion, and it's now got a guaranteed value in it as well of approximately what it's worth. So DC Series Wow motor, because them ones that come in the old fork trucks and stuff, technically they're rated for about 3 horsepower. I mean, you overvolt them, you turn your current up to 1,000 amps, and you're running like 200 horsepower. But what they see is the stamp 3 horsepower on the thing, and you're like, yeah, there we go, wheel spinning at 3 horsepower. Yeah, doing 11-second passes on a quarter mile and 3 horsepower insurance. Yeah, I really think that'd be great to do. And because all they care about is what it's rated for. Because I mean, I don't think I could phone up my insurance now and say, well, I know it says 48, but actually I'm only getting 30. I don't think they care. They like
No.
it's 48 horsepower, which is what it's supposed to be. So I think it'd be really interesting doing a series wound DC with the 3 horsepower stamp on it. But
Yeah, I'm about to swap one notionally 60 kilowatt motor for another notionally 60 kilowatt motor.
yeah,
But one of them weighs about twice what the other one does, and it has completely different performance characteristics, even though they're both notionally 60 kilowatts on the insurance. I mean,
yeah.
makes no difference
No,
really.
they're not
Both
bothered
out the
about
same vehicle as well. Yeah,
it.
well, I hope not. And what about tax? Was that an issue? Because it's a post 2001 car.
Yeah, this is a bit of a sore subject at the minute. I know Jamie's had some issues with his.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so I originally sent it off. I had the letter-headed paperwork from a conversion specialist garage. And then I think that was all they asked for in the DVLA guidelines. They want letter-headed paper. I sent that off first in August. They then sent me back another letter saying that we need more information. I can't remember what it was. They wanted the invoice for the motor and something
yeah,
else. And I sent that off with them along with photos that they requested. And then they then came back to me about 3-4 months later after that. Yeah, that'd work out about right. Saying that after me badgering them every single week, have you got enough information? Have you got everything that you needed? What else can I do? Because I've sent you everything that your website requests twice, twofold in different ways. And they got back to me Christmas sort of time, but I've been working ever since, so I've not actually got around to resorting it. I mean, I've been at work today, but and yeah, they said that they want to come out and inspect it. So on the logbook, it is still registered as a petrol vehicle. I'm still paying the tax on
oh
it,
right,
and I'm just hoping that they're going to backdate it to and give me a refund because I mean I've been paying. It's Jimnys are very expensive on tax because they're a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So fingers
yeah.
crossed, I can get a couple of £100 back from them when they say, but no doubt they'll be like, "No, I'm sorry, it's from when you inspected it." So, but we'll see. That's to come. So,
Right. So right, starting to wrap things up. What's been the biggest challenge of the project?
somewhere to do it, and time.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
time's the killer.
yeah,
And what about the most rewarding? I saw your video. You actually took it off roading. I mean,
yeah,
that's got to feel pretty good.
yeah. It's a bit of a odd to say really because I love driving it. I'm so happy to have it back on the road as my daily. It's just that every time I drive it, I'm reminded that of the mistakes I made, just simply because it's so slow. So, I mean, I can do when it's fully charged up to about 45%. I can do sort of 60 mile an hour, so it's fine on the motorway. I just sit in the loser lane, and yeah, I can keep up with trucks no problem whatsoever. Overtake them occasionally, and I can do 100 miles on a motorway. So it's not that bad. It's just that for the size of the pack that I've got, I would want to have done
Yeah,
150, 200 miles, and it's quite disappointing to say again. I've got a 48 kilowatt hour battery pack, and I'm only really getting 100 miles range. And when you look at it that way, it's
yeah.
kind of bad. So
So
that's that. Yeah.
and did you have plans to rectify that then? Do you?
So looking forward to the future, my most immediate plans are to put it on some 31-inch tires. So they're really big tires for a Jimny. Just because when I take it to when I want to, I'm going to hopefully take it to some shows this year. I know I'll be parked
Yeah,
next to all Land Rovers, and I need to have something that just knocks it up a little bit and just makes it so it doesn't look like that little thing that no one, like a little toy car next to it. So just sort of fine tuning what there is at the minute. I'm at a bit of a crossroads really with where I'm actually going to go with the project in future. On the not so crazy side, I am just going to keep it how it is and just enjoy it for what it is. I can still do 100 miles comfortably. It's not a racing car, it's a
Mm.
Jimny. So it's never a racing car. And if anything, if you think anything other than I've seen people that have tried to drive fast in them and they end up rolling over and tipping or spinning out because they're such short wheelbases. So
Yeah.
option one is to just enjoy it for what it is. And I think the more I think about it, that's the direction I'm going to go. But I've always got this sort of crazy idea at the back of my head where I put it on some Dana 44 axles, which are big for a Discovery, Land Rover Discovery. They're big axles. I lengthen the chassis and brace it all up and make it longer. I put a king cab on it, so it's like an extra cab and a pickup. I put a flatbed on the back of it, so I can carry around a diesel welder. I know I said diesel, but a big heavy mobile welder, so I can do some of the fabrication work that I'm getting into for EV stuff off site remotely, and I don't have to rely on anyone having their own setup. I can run anything off of this,
Yeah.
and like I said, they weigh about 400 kilos, so it would be Q plated is the downside, but because
Yeah.
and I'd be going off the axle rating and obviously bracing the chassis up, probably about 2.5 tons, so it wouldn't really be a Jimny anymore. It'd probably be more in line with
No.
a Hilux, but it's sort of one direction I really want to go in. And then because I've got the weight increase, I could then instead of changing my batteries out to just some other a smaller battery pack because I don't really need the range, I could put a full Tesla pack in it. I know where the space is in it. I know I can do it if I lengthen the chassis and where I'd put it. So the actual overall build of it would be a Jimny on 35-inch tyres with a 300 horsepower Tesla Model 3 motor, a full Tesla Model S pack in it, about 80 kilowatt hours, and just massive tyres. And it'd look one of a kind. It would have to be Q plated and it would have to go for inspection. And I mean, I know it'll.
Yeah. Need an
I know.
RVA.
I know I can make it pass it. The hardest thing is going to be all the soft edges that they have to have on stuff. That would be the hardest thing I think to pass, just because obviously a big off road monster like that, and yeah, obviously I'd then be able to put front and back winches on it, and going forward as well, I wouldn't mind doing some like some EV recovery kind of work because I thought that'd be quite cool if I could tow other.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah, saying I mean it is a 4x4 response vehicle as well. It's remained a 4x4 response vehicle. I haven't been on any call out since it's been electric, but it is still a 4 by, and it'd be so cool to like use it as such a monster with front and back winches and just 300 horsepower. But I've worked it all out, and I think I could probably do it for about 20,000. But it's a case that I've already spent about 30 on it, and it's yeah, it's like I say, a lot of that is in mistakes and full rebuilds on stuff, and just having to buy stuff twice because I've made a mistake on certain bits of it, or because I bought stuff 4 years ago now. The cost was,
Yeah.
I mean, my Tesla modules were nearly £1,000 each. So where now you can get for 800 quid. So my motor was 6 grand, landed in the UK on my doorstep because of import taxes and everything else. And realistically, now you can get a Tesla Model 3 motor for 4 or a Tesla Model S motor for 4, and then you can use the open source software for it. But
Or a Mitsubishi Outlander for
yeah,
250
exactly.
quid.
Yeah,
So
the biggest problem is though with them is that I have to use a re-gear because I would be turning it into an all-wheel drive truck. Is yeah, I have to
yes.
re-gear it to go through the differentials. Hence why I'd have to stay Tesla. But I could have a full Tesla powered Jimny with a Tesla motor and a Tesla battery pack, and that'd be super cool. And I could then do rapid charging on it as well because with such low voltage, I'm really low voltage. Um,
Well, I can tell you now
but
that I'm voting for that
I
option,
I know,
and I'm
and
pretty sure
that's
everyone watching this
yeah.
video is going to be voting for that option as well.
It's kind of why I've kept it under my hat a little bit, just simply because I know the internet's going to want to see the cool, crazy off-roady Jimny that can drive over Land Rovers and all other kinds of stuff and do 250 miles on 35-inch tires. But and then even as a diesel generator that could probably charge it up, I don't know. But and do million miles in it, yeah, because I'd love to do all that and then take it overlanding around Europe or something crazy. But again, it's a case of I'm at a bit of a crossroads now, and it's like I know how long this current conversion's took me, and in the grand scheme of things, compared to this new one that I'm thinking of, it was quite a simple conversion. So is it going to be off the road for another 6 years? It was 6 years this time, and then I'd probably just be better. Just would it ever get finished this time? Because I've got more commitments and stuff. So I
What
know
you really need, what you really need is just to buy another car and work on that one.
Yeah, I'm not allowed. I've asked. Yeah, but like I say, I've got so much on at the minute. It's not something I am ruling out for the future, but I think for now, at least for the next 18 months, I'm going to put the bigger tyres on it and just sort of cross my I's and dot my T's with
Enjoy
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's been brilliant. Thanks so much for coming on,
No
Danny.
problem.
I'm secretly just going to keep hoping for the electric monster truck, basically.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for coming
No
on.
worries.
Thanks for being so honest as well
Thank you.
about mistakes and what you
No,
spent. It's really good to hear. It's really useful.
what it's all for,
information
isn't it?
for people.
And like I say, it's what helps make other people not make my mistakes. And battery boxes as well. If you all need any fabrication work, I am doing some bits on the side. So I'm helping do just some general fabrication for EV stuff. I know a lot of fabricators out there don't really understand what we're after, so it's kind of hard. And
Yeah.
I did the angle iron frame for my battery boxes and then skinned it. If I was doing it again, I'd just use aluminium. I'd fold the aluminium and do it that way, just because the way I've done it is just I'm just not happy with it. And again, it's another thing that I'm trying to encourage people to go the right way the first time. Just it might seem a bit more expensive, but trust me, the finish will be so much better on stuff. But if
Well, I'm going to be
anyone is
building some
needing,
battery.
yeah, and if you
I'm
are
going to be
needing
building
any
some new
help on
battery
it,
boxes
just
fairly soon. So
give
I'll
me a shout.
yeah.
So
Brilliant. Right. Well, if you enjoyed that, if you found that useful, do go and check out Danny's videos. Go and find that group on Facebook. Check out Electric Off Road. We'll post links to all of that in the show notes. And yeah, thanks for watching. And please
lovely,
do
Tom.
like
Thank
and
you very much.
subscribe.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
Bye.
Cheers, Danny.